Hello, this is Billy Core from the Nostalgia Mall, and 20 years ago today, on the day this video is being published, on June 25th, 1998, Windows 98 was released to consumers. And today we're going to be taking a closer look at Windows 98. Of course, we've looked at this operating system many a time on this channel, but in honor of its 20th birthday, we're going to just dedicate an entire video to nothing but Windows 98. Starting off, this little birthday card I made for Windows 98. Actually made this on a computer running Windows 98 a while ago. I used Publisher 98. So yeah. Anyway, Windows 98, the history behind it. It was founded by Jebediah Windows in 1807, I want to believe. No, nah, I'm lying there. It was 1806. Oh boy, this video is already becoming a train wreck. Anyway, seriously though, Windows 98 began development in 1996 following on the success of Windows 95, my favorite operating system. It began development in 1996 under the code name Memphis. There was also another Windows product being developed at the time called Windows Nashville, which was going to be the original successor to Windows 95, but it wound up being canceled. I think it eventually pretty much became Windows 95 with the Windows Desktop update, which we saw in a recent video on this channel. But anyway, Memphis wound up being the real successor to Windows 95. You see, back in the 90s, Microsoft liked codenaming their operating systems after random cities in the United States. Windows 95 was called Chicago when it was being developed, and 98 was Memphis. You're currently seeing a few pictures of Windows Memphis when it was being developed. As you can see, it was kind of a hybrid of 95 and 98, which has to be expected, really. I remember reading somewhere that at one time they were thinking about calling it Windows 97 because they thought they'd be able to release it in 1997, but unfortunately they weren't able to and had to release it in 1998, so it became Windows 98. And finally it was released 20 years ago today, June 25th, 1998. My personal experience with Windows 98, well, I remember hearing about Windows 98 back in 1998 when it first came out, and I wanted my dad to upgrade our Packard Bell Legend 822 CDT to Windows 98, but he decided that was not a good idea, and we wound up never putting Windows 98 on the computer. It always ran 95 throughout its entire life. I was a little disappointed that we couldn't get 98 on there, but looking back, I'm glad that we kept 95 on there because I think that 98 would have been a little bit too new for a computer like that. Now, it would have run on a Pentium 100 megahertz anyway with 16 megs of RAM, but it wouldn't run very efficiently, I can imagine. So when it comes to running Windows 98, these days I require a minimum of a Pentium MMX. Anything below that gets Windows 95 in this house. That's just the way I am. You may not like it, but guess what? Too bad. Anyway, the first time I remember using Windows 98 was, I believe, the spring of 1999. My aunt had a new computer. It was a HP Pavilion desktop, and it came with the first edition of Windows 98, and I remember sitting at that computer and I was 9 years old at the time, and I was just fascinated by how nice it looked compared to Windows 95. I love the gradient title bars that it had. I love the way the context menus would appear on the screen when you would right click. In Windows 95 it would just appear out of nowhere, but in 98 it had this cool effect to it, and the sounds it made, it was just, I was just fascinated by it, and that made me want 98 even more. But again, we never upgraded our Packard Bell to 98. But what we did do was in the summer of 1998, I believe July, we purchased a HP Pavilion desktop of our very own. It was pretty much identical to the one my aunt had, except ours had a zip drive on it. And so we finally had a computer running Windows 98, and yeah, it was a lot of fun. It was definitely a lot more powerful than the Packard Bell. This HP had, I believe, a Intel Celeron, I think Pentium 2 based, so it was probably about, I want to say, 300 megahertz. Had 64 megabytes of RAM and a 10 gigabyte hard drive. And compared to the 1.2 gigabyte hard drive on the Packard Bell, that was quite an upgrade. Let's keep in mind, between 1995 and 1999, we didn't buy any other computers, so this was our second ever computer, so it was quite an upgrade. And we had a few more computers down the line with Windows 98. So yeah, I like the Toshiba Satellite 2505 CDS, my never obsolete E-machine. Ugh. And of course I have computers nowadays running Windows 98, including my Packard Bell, my Ultimate Packard Bell Legend 3550. As you know, this is a semi-sleeper build. Has a more modern motherboard in there, and it's running Windows 98. So, what are we going to do now? Well, for the last 7 minutes or so, you've been staring at this box copy of Windows 98, wondering why it's out here. Well, I bought this box copy of Windows 98. It's still new in the box, never been opened. I bought it back in the fall of 2015 as part of my box software collection. It's usually here on my wall of operating systems below Windows 95 there. And normally I'm against opening vintage software boxes that have never been opened before. But you know what? Since this is a special occasion, the operating system's turning 20 years old, I think let's go ahead and open her up, shall we? So let me get things ready and we'll cut her open. Okay, first let's just take a tour of the outside of the package. Here's the front. This is the original RTM release of Windows 98 from 1998. This is not second edition. I apologize, my air conditioner is very loud. Second edition came out a year later in 1999, and if you ask me, second edition is a million times nicer than first edition. First edition was crash happy, a little bit slow, and doesn't support nearly as much hardware and software that second edition uses, so I never ever use first edition. Whenever I'm running a computer with 98, I always go with second edition, and I recommend you folks doing the same thing, because second edition is just a lot nicer. So yeah, here's the front. It works better and plays better, and this is the CD-ROM version. There was also a version for that came on 3.5-inch floppy disk. The Maritime Girl, she did a video, I believe, about a week or two ago, where she installed, in real time, believe it or not, Windows 98 from those floppy disks that were available. And I believe it took her about 2 hours or so to do that. I only got it to about 30 minutes in that video so far, and then I had to go to bed, but I plan on finishing it up later. But yeah, you could not get the floppy disk version in stores like you could with 95. But so what you had to do was you had to special order them. I believe there was a like an order form you could fill out. It's probably in this box right here. If it is, we'll be looking at it in a couple of minutes. So yeah, if you thought Windows 95 had a lot of floppy disk, this one had even more. Okay. Attention. The enclosed program will search your hard disk to confirm your eligibility for this upgrade. The software will only install if you're a licensed user of Microsoft Windows 95, Windows 3.x, or Windows for Workgroups 3.1x. So yeah, believe it or not, you could upgrade not only from 95 to 98, but you could also upgrade from Windows 3.1 to 98. And not a lot of people did that, I can imagine, but I'm actually thinking about making a video where we do that upgrade. And that was not my computer, that was me either getting a text or an email. Oh, it was an email, and it was spam, of course. What else would it be these days? And here's the other side. Really not much here. Compatible with programs for Windows 95, Windows for Workgroups, and MS-DOS. And here's the back. Improve and expand your PC experience with Windows 98. Enhance your productivity and redefine your PC's possibilities using the Microsoft Windows 98 operating system. It provides full internet integration, which was kind of controversial. We'll discuss that later. Optimal performance and support for the latest entertainment and accessory options. You'll be amazed at all you can do. Talks about the maintenance wizard there, plug and play. This had inbuilt support for USB, which was a lot more reliable than the USB support that came with Windows 95 OSR2. Just picture the desktop with a scanner being connected. That's a little awkward considering a certain video of a certain Microsoft CEO demonstrating this operating system using a USB scanner. Works better, plays better. Save time. Applications launch an average of 36% faster than on Windows 95. Storing an average of 28% more data on your existing hard drive, but converting to a more efficient file system, which would have been FAT32. You could use FAT32 on Windows 95 OSR2 and up, but this was a little bit more advertised. You got the maintenance wizard, troubleshooting wizards, the full internet experience, and this was the first version of Windows to have built-in Windows Update, which has become pretty infamous these days in the world of Windows 10. Do more of your PC than ever before. Easily add the latest drivers such as digital cameras, scanners, and more. Simply plug USB peripherals into your PC's universal serial bus. That's what USB stands for, by the way. And you're ready to go. No rebooting required, for the most part. Enjoy stunning 3D graphics in games built on Microsoft DirectX technology. Get amazing graphics with built-in support for MMX technology and accelerated graphics port. That's the AGP slot you'll find on computers of the time. Add a second or third monitor and expand your work or games across multiple screens. This was the first version of Windows to natively support multiple monitors. And watch television on your PC and easily find your favorite TV shows with a built-in program guide. That was the WinTV application that you could install on here. I remember seeing that available on my on the HP Pavilion we had back in 1999 and installing it and not being able to figure out why it wouldn't work. Turns out it required a TV tuner card, which sadly we never got. And I doubt many people ever really used WinTV. I don't know of anyone that did personally. If you did, please let me know. I'm curious. And down here is Plus for Windows 98, something I did have back in the day. I've still got my original CD for that. And we may even take a look at that later on in the video. We'll just have to wait and see. System requirements, you need at least a 486 DX66 megahertz. I would not recommend running Windows 98 on a 486. It's slow on a non-MMX Pentium, so running it on a 486 is probably unbearable. 16 megs of RAM. Again, don't recommend that little amount of RAM for this. I recommend at least maybe 32. You need at least 195 megabytes of available hard disk space, a CD-ROM or DVD-ROM drive. This is when DVDs were first becoming popular. VGA monitor and a Microsoft mouse and the optional stuff there. And down here we got a whole bunch of nothing. And on the top we get our barcode. For distribution in USA and Canada only. Okay, oh, I always feel dirty doing this. But you know what? There'll be other box copies of Windows 98 to be had, so I may be opening this one, but I can always get myself another one someday. So, let's cut her open. I hope this knife lives up to its name. Okay, breaking the 20-year-old seal. Oh, I feel dirty. Alright, smell that 20-year dust in here. Smells like boy bands. And early DVD players. Alright, the seal has been removed. Here we go. Now I want to be careful with this because I do want to put this back the way it was in here. We don't want to break the box. There we go. And this, as usual, this brings back memories of going to Best Buy, CompUSA, and bringing home a new computer game or software to try on your computer. Because back then, I've said it before and I'll say it again, getting a new piece of software was an event to behold. And nowadays, it's just eh. Alright, let's open the cardboard here. Again, trying to be careful. Alright. Alright, on top is the CD itself. Never been used before. Never been used. Right here we've got an ad for MSN, Microsoft Windows 98, your PC, and the Internet. Start clicking here to connect to the Internet with the Microsoft Network. Get a free month of Internet access and unlimited email. I should probably scan these things before I put them back in the box. And this is why it's always good to, if you want to preserve this stuff, to be doing it on camera so you'll know how it goes back in. We've got a ad for America Online, which we used back then actually. It's easy, fun, fast, and free. 100 free hours to explore in your first month. It's all new AOL 4.0. Version 4 available in US only. Version 3 available in Canada. Sorry, Canada. Sorry we were hogging all the modern AOL from you guys. Oh yeah, that brings back memories. Pause that if you want to read it. I remember those AOL channels. Okay. And we've got the Getting Started manual for Windows 98. It's a lot thicker than manuals you get these days with software, if you even get one, that is. And there you go. And I believe that's all that was in there. So we did not get a order form for the floppy disk, but oh well. So what are we going to do now? We've got this never before used Windows 98 upgrade CD. Well, it'd be a shame to just let it sit here and collect dust and never be used. So let's install it on something. What we have here is the Compaq Armada 7730 MT. This is my main vintage laptop, and it's currently running Windows 95 OSR2. It has 80 megabytes of RAM and I want to say 166 megahertz Pentium MMX. So we're going to be upgrading this to Windows 98. Now, just a disclaimer here, I will not be keeping Windows 98 on here. This is actually being done on a separate Compaq flash card that I cloned my 95 install to. So here's the card I usually use on here. So this will be safe from the upgrade. Now this, I imagine with this being an MMX CPU that 98 should run fairly okay on here, but I just like having Windows 95 on here instead, so that's what we'll be sticking with. But for the sake of this video and the 20th anniversary of 98, we're going to be taking this CD that we just unboxed and use it to upgrade this laptop to Windows 98. And if you bought a upgrade copy of Windows 98 in 1998, you very well could have been using a computer just like this. I believe this computer is from about 1997 or so. So let's go ahead and pop it in. Alright, CD has never been opened. And here it is in all its glory. Again, this is first edition. Normally I install second, but this is a special occasion once again. Alright, this CD-ROM contains a newer version of Windows than the one you are presently using. Would you like to upgrade your computer to this new version of Windows 98 now? Why, yes we do. Always liked how the Windows 98 upgrade and even the Windows ME upgrade when you start it up plays the NT4 logon sound. Okay, welcome to Windows 98 setup. Congratulations on choosing Windows 98, the software that makes your computer more powerful, reliable, manageable, and entertaining. With Windows 98 you can connect to the internet quickly and easily. And Windows 98 is even easier to use than Windows 95. Setup will take from 30 to 60 minutes depending on the speed of your computer. Setup will now check your system. To proceed, click Continue. Now, normally I don't recommend doing in-place upgrades like this when installing a version of Windows. But we're doing an in-place upgrade today because this is what most people would have done with Windows 98 upgrades. Setup cannot check the hard drive on your computer. You must check your hard drive before setup can continue. Oh, it's detecting a problem with the hard drive, I believe. Probably because I cloned from one CF card to another using Win32 Disk Imager on my main computer, and because of that, it's not happy with me. I hate old scan disk because it takes forever. Because I think it wants to do a surface scan. So I guess we'll have to wait for this, folks. I'm sorry. Okay, so I ran ScanDisk for a very long time. It's actually over an hour later, and there were just too many file system problems on that CF card. So I went back to using the regular CF card I usually use in here, which means that I'm going to have to completely redo my Windows 95 install once this video is over with. But this is the only way this video will be possible, unfortunately, so we're just going to have to deal with it. I don't know if the card itself was dying or it had something to do with the clone I did last week. So we'll just have to suck it up and deal with it. But the good news is this drive should be a lot healthier. I have a second CF card in this system on a PCMCIA adapter, which is where I keep games on, so it's scanning that as well. Okay, we've gotten further than we did before. It is strongly recommended that you quit all Windows programs for continuing setup. It's not, we don't have to worry about that, I don't think. Okay, license agreement. Totally read that. Okay, product key. You know what? I can go ahead and show it to you, I guess. Alright, there we go. Checking the system. It's initializing the system's registry database. Whatever that means. The drive in this computer is 2 gigabytes, by the way. Okay, setup can save your existing MS-DOS and Windows system files, so you can uninstall Windows 98 if necessary. This will require up to 50 megabytes of space. You know what? Since I'll be wiping this drive anyway, no. Although most people probably would have selected yes back in the day. Okay, I live in the United States. And, well, once we click next, we'll be past the point of no return. So, here we go. So long, Windows 95. It was nice knowing you. And I think I'll keep the video going during this, actually. I will speed it up and time-lapse it, but I think I'll record this entire process. So, enjoy. Alright, it appears we're done with that portion of setup, so we'll go ahead and tell it restart now. Alright, getting ready to run Windows for the first time. Alright, 16 minutes remaining. Don't know how accurate that is. Okay, we're in low res and low color mode now. And this is what people would have been doing 20 years ago. Unfortunately, I wasn't, but again, I'm glad we kept 95 on that Packard Bell. It's just more appropriate. I remember around 1997 or so, You see, I was a very creative child in a way. I wanted to create my own version of Windows. And so what I did was I just took a random floppy disk, stuck it in the Packard Bell 822, and copied a whole bunch of random files from the computer's hard drive to the disk, and labeled it, I believe, Windows 97. I don't exactly remember what was on there. I do remember copying Ski Free over to it, though. And I even made another version in 1998 called Windows 98. Now, keep in mind, this was before I knew of the existence of the real Windows 98. So yeah, that was kind of interesting. Again, with that, I think I just copied a whole bunch of random files from the hard drive to a floppy disk. I remember before I named the first one Windows 97, for some reason I wanted to name it Windows 91. And I don't think there was a version of Windows that came out in 1991. I think Windows 3.0 multimedia extensions may have came out that year, but that was about it. It's initializing one of the PCMCIe slots. Okay, we'll restart again. Okay, we're back here again. Okay, final stretch. I'm setting up the control panel. Alright, this part usually takes a while, but on the bright side, we get to look at this really cool drum animation. I don't know why that drum animation has always fascinated me so much. Alright, I believe that's it. Once we reboot, we should be at the desktop. Now, Windows 98, like I said, I never upgraded to Windows 98 on another computer that had like 95 on it. The first time I ever upgraded to a new version of Windows on the same computer would have been Windows ME back in the year 2000 when I upgraded it on my never obsolete E machine. I remember my aunt upgrading to Windows 95 from Windows 3.1 in early 1996 on her Gateway 2000. And it still runs that same copy of Windows 95 to this day. Alright, so far looks same as 95. We can log into our domain server. Now I get a lot of requests asking how to set up that virtual domain that I have, but someone else set it up for me a couple of years ago, so I don't know how to do it, so I'm sorry, but I can't help you with that. I'm not being a snob or anything, I just literally don't know how to do it. It's the Windows 98 startup sound everyone loves so much. And I'm sure 98 would run a lot better on here if I'd clean installed it instead of upgrading from 95, but again, this is how most people would have done it back in the day, so we're doing it how it was back then. And here's Windows 98. Oh yeah, that music brings back a lot of memories. And I'm going to put my CD back. Still brand new, almost. Alright, we'll uncheck that. But yeah, here's the Windows 98 desktop. Again, it looks mostly the same as Windows 95, but it has a lot more web integration, and this was something that was kind of controversial at the time. Remember the video we did recently where I installed the Windows Desktop update on Windows 95? Well, the interface to this is very, very, very similar to that. Which is why I always say that if you want the Windows Desktop update on Windows 95, just install Windows 98 instead. Makes more sense. But anyway, as you can see here, we have this thing at the side of the screen showing what folder we're in. The windows open up in the folders open up in one window now instead of multiple windows like in 95. And we get a toolbar at the top and an address bar, just like an Internet Explorer, because Internet Explorer is tightly integrated into Windows 98. And at this time in Microsoft's life, they weren't very popular. Well, obviously they were popular, but they had kind of a bad reputation. This was when they were going through all their antitrust lawsuits. You see, they were trying to integrate Internet Explorer into 98 so tightly that it caused a lot of problems for people. They made it kind of difficult to use other web browsers like Netscape, and it kind of bogged down people's computers. I know Nathan Lineback at TosiTech.com was never a fan of Windows 98 because of these reasons. So yeah, I can kind of understand that, I guess. Also, our start menu scrolls now instead of everything being on one screen, and we can right click and move menus around. which you can't do in Windows 95. Again, this is 98 First Edition, not Second Edition. Okay. Now I want to crank the color depth up to 32-bit so we can see the gradient title bars, which is what made me fall in love with Windows 98 back in '99. Okay, it kind of froze for some reason when it was restarting, but I was able to do a manual shutdown and restart. But it did change the color depth, and you can see here on the network login we've got gradient title bars. And when I was 9 years old, that's what made me fall in love with Windows 98, was just the way the title bars looked. It was just so cool. You can see the icons look a little bit fancier now. And another thing that made me fall in love with Windows 98 when I was 9 years old was when you would right-click to bring up the context menu, the way it would just kind of appear on the screen. It's hard to describe how it appears, but I just thought it looked nicer than 95 did. Now, one way you can tell the version of 98 you're running, that is, if the icon's still on the screen, is the MSN icon. If it's this white circle, like you see here, you've got 98 First Edition, but if it's that little orange icon, then it's Second Edition. But anyway, let's take the Windows 98 tour. I remember taking this on our HP Presario back in the day, but not HP Presario, I'm sorry, Flying Scotsman, you're gonna kill me. HP Pavilion. But I haven't run it since like 99, 2000, I want to say. So let's go back to the Welcome to Windows screen here. Discover Windows 98. Okay, apparently we need the CD for this, so we'll put it back in. It's in. There we go. Go away, auto run. Okay, discover Windows 98 contents. Press the corresponding number on your keyboard or click a title to begin. It's a loud CD drive. Okay, to install this page correctly, you need to display this page correctly. You need to download and install the following components: direct animation. Well, this laptop, believe it or not, is connected to the internet. The internet of 2018, though, so I don't know if it'll be able to download this or not. Well, what do you know? Can't believe it's downloading something from 1998 in the year 2018 on an old computer from around the same time. You know, sometimes I say stuff that makes no sense.
Welcome to Computer Essentials, a hands-on introduction to your computer. Press the right arrow key on your keyboard to continue.
Wait, I don't think this is the one I'm wanting. Okay. Okay, I believe this is it. Kind of shows how 98 is different
Welcome to the Windows Overview. In the next few minutes, we will show you how to have the best learning experience with this innovative tutorial.
Okay. What's going on here? This is different from what I remember. Yeah, I don't think this is the same 98 tour that HP had. In fact, it's not even displaying properly. Yeah, this isn't working. Well, so much for that. That was a waste of time. You know, it seems like most of my computer problems always happens when I'm doing a video. When I'm off camera, everything works perfectly, but once I start filming, oh, everything blows up. Anyway, one feature of Windows 98 that I liked when I was a kid, and this was actually not exclusive to 98, this was actually something that came with the Windows 95 Plus pack, and that's desktop themes. You see, when I was a kid, I thought desktop themes didn't come out until 98 did, but apparently it came out way before that. But again, I didn't have the 95 Plus pack on our Packard Bells, so I wouldn't have known anyway. So let's go to the desktop themes, and let's just select one, shall we? Let's see. I think this is one I used to use. I remember setting the desktop theme to this, to the travel one on our HP, and my dad freaking out because I wasn't supposed to be messing with the appearance settings. So we'll go ahead and do this here. And it changes our wallpaper and our sounds and icons. Now remember how we mentioned the 98 Plus pack earlier? Well, there's my error again. Let's go ahead and install it. I'm installing this from my network, but I do still have my original copy of it that I got back in the year 2000. And I believe I have it over here. Yep. Yep, this is the original copy I've had since 1998. Anyway, let's continue. Okay, we'll put in our name. Caps lock was on for no reason. We'll put in our CD key. And, alright, normally I do a custom install, but you know what? Let's just install the whole shebang. Okay, I think I will pause the video this time. Alright, we're done installing. I forgot what to say. I forgot to say what comes with the Plus Pack for $98. It comes with even more desktop themes, which is my favorite part, and a maintenance wizard, which basically runs different system tune-up tasks on a schedule. And it comes with a lot more other stuff, including some kind of antivirus, I think from McAfee, I want to say. That was not a noise. Okay, we got to restart. Alright, done restarting. Oh, it's Mr. Conductor from Shining Time Station. Alright, we got the Plus Pack installed. So let's go to the program group for the Plus Pack. Should be at the bottom. Okay, we got a deluxe CD player. I use this quite a bit. Basically, it's the same as the Windows 98 CD player, but what it would do is it would access the internet and download song titles and song artists and album information and stuff like that. And I tried this a few months ago to see if that feature still worked, but unfortunately whatever server it used to get that information from no longer exists, and you have to put in the information manually now. So that's too bad. Alright, let's see what else we got. Gotta say, I like the Windows 95 start menu better. I don't like having to scroll all the way down. We get a McAfee virus scan. I'm not sure if McAfee was any good back then or not. I do remember using this though. Back in the day, I remember my dad running the McAfee virus scan because it came with our HP Pavilion. He ran it on January 1st, 2000. Because supposedly that was to prevent problems from Y2K. And get your desktop themes: a disk cleanup wizard, the maintenance wizard, organic art screensaver, which apparently is this. Freaky. Yeah, I can already tell it's a little bit slower than it was on 95, but again, that's probably because we did an in-place upgrade. And we got Picture It Express, which is a basic photo editing suite. So we can open a picture. Let's see. It's an old picture of Golden Corral. Don't ask. And we can give it an edge effect. Looks pretty good. No, we do not want to save it. I say that this desktop theme has some interesting sounds. And speaking of desktop themes, the Plus Pack comes with even more to choose from. So let's select one that comes with it. This is an appropriate one because this month Garfield celebrates its 40th anniversary, so we'll go with the Garfield desktop theme. I used to use this one quite a bit. In fact, I liked it so much on our Toshiba Satellite 2505 CDS. I would a lot of times run Windows ME on that laptop, and I would and unfortunately I wouldn't be able to install the 98 Plus pack on Windows ME because it's not Windows 98. But I really wanted this Garfield desktop theme, so what I would do was I would do a factory reinstall of Windows 98, install the Plus pack, and then upgrade it to Windows ME. But yeah, here's the Garfield wallpaper. It tried to load the channel bar there, but for some reason it's not loading the icons for it. And this wallpaper is internet enhanced. You can click on this to go to the Garfield website, and you get special sound effects with it as well. So yeah, I guess I should probably go ahead and wind up this video. It's probably going to be a very, very long video, I imagine, but yeah, I can't believe Windows 98 is 20 years old now. I know for a lot of people this is their favorite vintage version of Windows. Can't say it's mine though. I still love Windows 98, but it's still one of my favorite operating systems. But I'm just more nostalgic for Windows 95 because that was my first operating system. It was on my first computer, and while I don't think Windows 95 is as advanced and reliable as 98, 95 just has more nostalgia for me. But I'm not saying I don't like Windows 98, because I gotta say I love it, and I'm sure a lot of you love it as well. So once again, happy birthday to Windows 98, and this is Billy Core signing off. Thank you for visiting the Nostalgia Mall. If you liked what you saw, please like, subscribe, and follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. You can also support me on Patreon if you would like. The link to all of these are down below. Until next time, this is Billy Core, signing off.